That's it. It is now 6:32. I'm going to call this meeting of the Lawndale City Council to order. I'm going to ask City Clerk to give the roll call, please. Madam City Clerk.
All right, good evening. Mayor Pro Tem Suarez.
Here.
Councilmember Kearney. Here. Councilmember Hoffman-Gorman.
Here.
Councilmember Cuevas. Mayor Poland Miles.
Here.
All members are present except for Councilmember Suarez. I'm sorry, Councilmember Cuevas at this time.
It's contagious, huh? Okay, I'm going to ask Mayor Pro Tem Suarez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by Pastor George McAleeney from Hope Chapel Hawthorne is going to lead us in a word of inspiration.
Please stand and face the flag. Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, staff. First of all, I'd like to invite everyone to Hope Chapel for Easter. Sunday, March 31st. We're meeting at 1 p.m. In the facilities of Calvary Presbyterian Church. It's on Hawthorne Boulevard and 136th Street. All right, so that's my plug for tonight, but I do want to read a scripture and then a brief prayer for the city of Lawndale. I'm from Hawthorne, yes. This is from Isaiah chapter 41, and it says, I took you from the ends of the earth. From its furthest corners I called you. I said, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Let's pray. Father God, we do want to acknowledge you, and we thank you for the many promises of your word. And Lord, we stand on those promises, and we are comforted by them and strengthened by them. Lord, we thank you for establishing the city of Lawndale and your grace and mercy that's been upon it for so many years. We thank you for raising up good people like this, Lord God, to lead the way to prosperity and your goodness for every citizen. Lord, we want to bring every citizen to you tonight and pray your blessing, protection, provision. We thank you especially for our seniors and our children, and also, Lord God, for our first responders. Pray that you would bless them, protect them, help them as they protect and help us. We commit this meeting to you and thank you for your presence. I personally pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor McAleeney, for joining us tonight. Thank you for those words of inspiration. Thank you, sir. Okay. Now you're good. It is a little chilly. Okay, let's move on to our public safety report. Let's hear from our captain, Captain Palomino.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, esteemed members of the City Council, and members of the community. I'm Nicole Palomino, the captain of South Los Angeles Station, and I'm here tonight to present the public safety report for March 6th through March 18th. I will begin by discussing one of our notable arrests. On March 12th at approximately 7:45 a.m., Deputy Sanchez conducted a patrol check at the 4400 block of Redondo Beach Boulevard. Deputy Sanchez located a confirmed stolen vehicle in a business parking lot and observed the suspect trying to disassociate himself with the vehicle. After a thorough investigation, Deputy Sanchez determined the suspect did in fact drive the stolen vehicle and parked it at the business. Deputy Sanchez arrested him for driving a vehicle without the owner's consent and booked him at South Los Angeles Station. The vehicle was subsequently returned to the Lawndale resident. Regarding our traffic-related incidents, Motorcycle Traffic Enforcement Deputy Morales issued approximately 20 citations during the reporting period, which included violations such as failing to stop at a stop sign, speeding, and modified exhaust. He also monitored for drivers who violated the traffic light laws on Hawthorne Boulevard, as well as individuals who violated the vehicle code while riding their electric bikes. And lastly, I have a few public safety announcements for the residents of Lawndale. There was a recent uptick in the theft of catalytic converters, and I would like to give the residents a few tips to prevent them from becoming victims. Number one, if parking in a garage is not feasible, make sure you park in an area that is well lit and covered by surveillance cameras. Number two, consider installing a dash cam in your vehicle that has a motion sensor activation. Number three, install a physical anti-theft device on your catalytic converter to make theft more difficult. And lastly, if you see someone acting suspicious, please report it to the Sheriff's Department immediately. Trust your gut instinct and just know that Lawndale deputies are here to support and protect you. Another crime trend I would like to highlight is individuals wearing bright-colored vests who are pretending to be workers for public service departments. These individuals might be thieves or burglars, and I encourage Lawndale residents to remain vigilant and be aware of who is on their property and always question the reason why. As I mentioned before, please report suspicious activity when you see it and don't hesitate to take that first step. This concludes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Okay, thank you for the report. Are there any questions of the captain's report? Thank you, Captain, for the report, especially for those tips.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, with that, we will move our calendar, our agenda to the oral communications. Oral communications where you have the opportunity to speak to this body on items that are not on the agenda. If you would like to speak to this body on items that are not on the agenda, you may do so at this time. We ask that you line up by the flag. When it becomes your turn, if you would approach the podium, if you would give your name first. At about 2.5 minutes, the amber light will come on to give you the signal to start wrapping things up. You don't have to wait for your name to be called. Just simply when the person before you concludes, just come to the mic and begin your presentation. Anyone want to speak on oral communications? Yes, ma'am. You can come right over to this mic for me. Then.
Hi, my name is Juanita Lara Lamas. Our family's been residents here since the 60s, I think. I also have Socorro Martinez with me. She's another local Lawndalean since the 60s as well. We were just concerned with, I walk my grandkids to school, and we always see a lot of dog droppings everywhere, and we were hoping maybe we can get more trash cans and maybe bags available in the area, like, kind of like we just walk to the schools and around the home areas of William Green. I know that the high school has one. Sometimes they have bags, sometimes they don't, so we're just concerned with people that are constantly leaving things that they don't pick it up. So the other thing we wanted to say was thank you for letting us have a fireworks stand. I believe it's going to be at Taco Bell because the kids love the 4th of July, and they were already telling us, Grandma, are you taking us to get fireworks? And I said, oh, yeah, I heard we're getting the stand open. So I just wanted to let you guys know that the kids are excited, and we always look forward to having the legal fireworks here at our residence.
Absolutely. Give me your name again. I'm sorry.
Juanita Lara.
Juanita Lara?
Mm-hmm. Lara is my maiden name, and that's my family name from the area. Lamas is my married name, so it's hyphenated.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you for your comments. Appreciate you being here tonight. Yes, sir.
Good evening. To give me an opening I was going to follow up on. I sent all of you a long email last week about some of the dog issues I see, and Mr. Moore and Mr. Reyes did give me a response. And some of the issues I brought up is I see a lot of dogs that are not on leashes, and I recommended that the city follow up more on that. And I guess the city's policy is that if someone has an unleashed dog, they don't necessarily cite them. They issue some kind of a verbal warning, but if they determine it's a dangerous breed, they might give it a citation. The problem with that is that any loose dog to me is potentially dangerous because even a small dog is a hazard and a trip issue, and I think all owners that have dogs should be cited. And following up with the other cities, Lawndale's is $100. Other cities are at $250. And as far as reporting barking dogs, I think Lawndale pretty much requires that the owner give their name, the complainer give their name. Other cities basically report it, and someone from the police or the code enforcement actually goes and knocks on the door, gives them a warning, and tells them we got a complaint about a barking dog. The other thing, and this goes along with what she's saying, is that Lawndale should have signs about needing to keep dogs on leashes and needing to keep your bags, and also to make sure that all dogs are registered. I don't know if the city really knows how many dogs are registered at this point. I know years ago there was a study they did. It was a $22,000 study. I don't know if they ever got the results of that study, but I think that there needs to be an effort to make sure all dogs in Lawndale are licensed. Anyway, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, it looks like we have concluded public comments. With that, we'll close public comments and bring it up to diocese for any comments. Let's start with Councilwoman Hoffman-Gorman. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Juanita and Randall, for getting up to speak about the dog issues. I would like to have Michael respond, if I could.
Yes.
Thank you.
I believe I spoke to Ms. Lara on the phone last week. I don't know if that was her I spoke to, but someone did request more trash cans. Hi, nice to meet you. So we spoke last week, and I did put a request in if we could get additional trash cans in that area. But we do give rolls of trash bag for dogs, for owners to pick up after the dog whenever we see people walking their dogs. If they're leashed, we always make sure they're licensed as well. If we see them off leash, we can issue a second citation, not just for walking the dog off leash, but also for being unlicensed. We do give a verbal warning first if it's someone that we haven't spoke with before, just so they know, just as a courtesy. We could eliminate that if the council wishes. I just think as a courtesy, it's a nicer thing to do, to give people a verbal warning first, and then if we see them do it again, then we issue a citation. Our citations do start at 100. The second violation will be 250, and then up to 500 if we catch them a third time off leash. We have issued cites for that. I sent Mr. Randall that information, Mr. Abrams that information. There was 5 cites so far this year just for that. But again, the first time we see them, we will give them a verbal warning.
So the first ticket is $100.
The first ticket $100 per violation. So if they're walking a dog off leash and the dog's not registered, they would get cited for each of those things. So it would be $200.
Okay.
So, and if they have multiple
And is that
dogs,
the maximum that we're allowed to
500,
charge?
500 is the maximum
That
the council has approved for admin cites, so administrative citation.
Okay.
So it's $100 up to $250, and then 500. So if they're walking 3 dogs with no leashes, they could potentially get, and none of them are registered, they could potentially get $600 citation on the first offense.
Understood.
So that's why we try to give them a verbal warning, just as a courtesy. And also, some people, if they're walking with their dog on a leash that extends, those are not legally recognized by the county, which is what we adopted as well. So if they have a dog that are letting go 20 feet out on the leash, they could be cited for that as well. But not everybody knows that, so that's another reason we give the verbal warnings. So that would take, you got to keep it under 6 feet to classify it as controllable. In terms of the dangerous breed, I would agree with Mr. Randall that any dog could bite, so even a little dog. So by classifying any as a dangerous breed, and if somebody gets bitten by one that's not classified as dangerous, then we've sort of created this loophole where, well, how can we classify this Chihuahua as a dangerous breed? And why'd you only classify a German Shepherd or a Dobermans or bigger dogs? So that's part of the reason I don't think we should classify as dangerous breeds. But we can do, if the council would like to see some changes, we can certainly address that in terms of how we control the animals.
My only suggestion would be to the 2 ladies is if you get an idea what time these dogs are out, maybe you could kind of keep an eye out for us. Is it happening in the morning, if it's happening in the afternoon or evening?
No, ma'am, we concluded a public comment. The council will provide some comments. They'll be available after the council for additional follow-up.
My suggestion would be kind of get an idea and let Michael's department know, since you've already spoke to Michael about it. Maybe we can up our animal patrol during the times that you're suspicious. If it's the same dog walkers, day after day after day, let's try that type of tactic as well.
Sure, and again, if we see anyone not curbing their dog properly, they are citable. But again, we have to see it. You know, if a dog, if they see us, then they suddenly decide to clean up after the dog, then they're not a violation.
Right.
But certainly we can heavy up our enforcement a little more heavier, so we can see more, make sure residents are curbing their dog properly.
I will say on the note that Randall was speaking about the non-violent dog, or the breed that is supposed to be not dangerous. Just this week, and I had not had any problems with aggressive dogs in my cul-de-sac. And just this week, I was walking from my daughter's house over to my mom's house with my Chihuahua. And suddenly I felt my Chihuahua do one of these numbers, and I thought, what the heck? What is she seeing that I'm not seeing? And as I crossed the street, there stood a great big dog, looked as friendly as heck, with growling at me. And all I could think to do is, I knew that my son-in-law could hear me from where he was. I had just walked out of the house, and I screamed his name. And he came out and said, "What's the problem?" And I said, "Dog." And that dog was, even though it was a breed that was supposed to be friendly, it was aggressively coming to me because I was holding my dog. And I just said to him, "Take my dog and put it in the house. Let me stand here because I'm somehow interacting with this dog. Let me do this." I agree, Randall. Every breed, regardless, is a dangerous dog. My daughter ran to the corner because we had dog walkers that were walking on leashes, and she was afraid they were coming into the cul-de-sac, and she didn't want those dogs attacked by this dog. So we do have an issue out there. And of course, it's going to happen at 11 o'clock at night when there's no one from your department there.
Right. So we have animal control officers, city staff on 7 days a week, 7 a.m. till 6 p.m.
Right.
After that, we contract with with the county, but they don't do any patrols for us. So
Right.
that's only as needed if there's an emergency, if there's an arrest with a dog owner, or if there's a injured dog or injured animal of any kind, actually, or an attack by a dog. Then we have the county come in and assist, but they're not doing patrols nightly. So yeah, if dogs are being walked after we leave, and I'm sure people know our hours, just like they know our parking enforcement hours end. So these things do happen.
And this dog was not one that I'd ever seen before. So anyway, so thank you for your comments, both of you, and let's see what we can do about correcting the issues there around William Green. That's all I have.
No, thank you. I want to thank the multitude of people that came out to speak tonight. I think Councilmember Hoffman-Gorman said everything, so I'll pass it on to Madam Pro Tem.
And I'm going to steal Councilmember Kearney's line and say ditto.
There you go.
And I too want to thank those who spoke tonight, particularly the dogs. I put a lot of mileage on my shoes. I walk a lot. That's my favorite pastime around the whole city every weekend. And I haven't seen too many dogs that's unaccompanied. But I did run into one, I guess it was past Sunday, and he was returning home after, well, I don't know if it was a he, but the dog was returning home.
He told you?
Was returning home after a leisure walk. And I just happened to be passing by the same house. I was wondering, like, where are you going? That a fella, he was walking next to me for a good distance, and then finally we got to his stop, and he decided,
I thought maybe you bored him.
This is where I get off, right? right, and he went home, and yes, he was. I think he may have gotten out of the gate because he did have on his collars with this identification kind of thing, what have you. But that is something that we do need to make sure we have a handle of, because dogs can be scary to some folks, whether they're aggressive or not, just their appearance, if they've had some trauma or whatever related to dog bites or what have you. So we will take a good look at that, and also the dog licensing issue. So thank you, Randall, for bringing that to our attention, and Miss Juanita, did I get it correct? For bringing that to our attention as well. And we will work on those items. Thank you so much. With those, we will close public comments and comments by the council, and we will move our agenda ahead. to our consent calendar. That's item 1 through 6. What is the pleasure of this body concerning the consent calendar?
If there's no questions, additions, subtractions, I make a motion to accept the consent as written.
And I'll second it.
Okay, seeing no questions, it's been moved that we approve the consent calendar by Kearney and adopted. No,
I would say
don't do that.
CNS.
Shores has adopted the motion. Any discussion on such? Would the council please vote?
For the motion on the consent calendar, the motion passes with Councilmember Cuevas still absent at this time.
Okay, thank you for that, Madam City Clerk. The next item, item 7, regarding potentially rescheduling the upcoming council meeting due to, I guess this is a holiday that's coming up, the Chavez holiday, soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Yvette Hall, Assistant City Clerk. This item is to request the council's consideration to cancel the meeting on Monday, April 1st, 2024, due to the observance of the Cesar Chavez holiday. Staff is recommending that the City Council reschedule the meeting to Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, as staff has reviewed the upcoming agenda items and has determined that there are business needs for the council to consider or provide further direction. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report. Any discussion on this item?
I'm okay with
Well-
changing the date to the 2nd.
You okay with changing on a second?
Can we do unanimous consent?
You good?
Yeah.
Okay,
How about
so,
you?
yeah, I'm okay. All right, well, that would be, okay, that would be the order. We will change the date as recommended to Tuesday, and we will do that by consent. Okay, let's go on to item 8, the general plan annual progress report.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is Jared from the Community Development Department. I'm going to be presenting the annual progress report for the general plan. Reporting period January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. This report summarizes the major activities that were undertaken by the general plan during the reporting period. There was approximately 3,190 recorded counter visits to the Community Development Department. 116 site plan reviews were performed, 94 residential property reports, and 1,855 building permits were issued. In the year 2023, we also adopted the general plan and general plan EIR in December of 2023. And the city also adopted new building permit fees. The city's general plan has a new reporting period adopted in 2022 for the housing element, RENA numbers, 2021 to 2029. And during that reporting period, RENA cycle, 111 units have been constructed since the adoption of the housing element. Staff recommends, but before the recommendation, I want to ask, there's some typos in the report that were found in the actual report that I'd like to ask to change, just very minor typos. And then now staff recommends that the City Council review the 2023 draft annual report and make desired revisions, and direct staff to forward the report to the State Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of the Planning and Research, and be approved and adopt resolution CC 2403-061 as read by title. And that concludes my staff report.
Okay, thank you for that staff report. Are there any
I do have a
questions on the
question.
report?
What are the
Yes, sir.
typos? Can you tell us what pages? And what-
Page 15 of the report, it should say 2021 to 2029 RENA production summary. And it says 2014-2021.
Okay,
So it's just, that's the only typo.
okay. Thank you.
I have a question on page 2 of 8, which talks about the, after analysis, item 4, down at the bottom, it talks about increased incentives for commercial and residential lot mergers. Can you give me a little more information on that? What type of incentives we're talking about here?
Page 2 of the staff report or the report,
It's the staff report.
the staff report.
1, 2, yeah. So you have analysis is the top header, and then at the bottom you talk about the planning commission's request for the staff to make recommendations.
So that we haven't received any applications for any lot mergers. However, when we receive a new project with two lots that are undersized and are side by side, we do require them to merge them together, just so that we can not create non-conforming lots, however, make them conforming. So we do require that on a case-by-case basis, and for commercial lots as well. So if we do have a project where we have a commercial, like, for example, Target, if they were to demo everything and rebuild, then we would require them to merge everything so that we could create conforming lots.
So is there a way to incentivize? Because this says incentivize. That gives me the impression that you're giving them something they otherwise would not have if they didn't agree to such.
Not at this time. So again, we would be under case-by-case basis.
Mayor,
but-
council, I can answer that. What we do is we fast-track the developers, we work with them closely. So for example, we offer them incentives for reduced parking, or we let them combine their parking with existing uses, for example, with Target. As you know, they were bringing in a different use than the Big Saver that was there and the other uses. So we do work with the applicants to merge the lots if we can. Sometimes they don't want to merge lots. So, but if we can convince them to merge lots, we incentivize them by letting them put an additional pad on there, like at the Sprouts. We allow them, they're gonna pad it up with a Starbucks there to allow additional use in there. So we allow to encourage them to develop the site, but also if we can have them merge. Now, there's separate parcels there. One property is owned by another property owner, so we couldn't require any kind of merger, but we do offer those types. We don't have financial incentives. All we have is our great ingenuity and planning experience to try to get them to push them through the process.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you. That's it? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on this item, the general plan and your report?
I do have a follow-up to your
Yes, ma'am.
question with the incentives. So no financial, just kind of processing time-wise, is that what it is?
Yeah, we don't, redevelopment went away, as the council's aware. The state dissolved redevelopment agency. Those used to be our primary incentives. We don't have those anymore. We have no tax incentives. We don't have any financial incentives for any developers.
So that incentive, but to go back to your response earlier, is mainly our
Relaxing, we relax development standards where we can.
That's within your discretion.
Right, so we don't waive zoning, but for example, like on the parking, we can count the parking in the median, which is allowed in the center of Hawthorne. We can let them do a parking study and recommend approval, like we did on the hotel site. They provided a parking study, showed they were gonna use shuttle service, so we have ways to use tools in our zoning code and the Hawthorne Boulevard specific plan to encourage developers to merge the lots.
Okay, thank you.
So when you merge the lots, does that mean, like, for instance, let's say the Target, for instance, obviously each I'm just calling them a store, will have their requirements for a certain amount of parking. But when you merge the lot, does that mean each tenant, they get basically the run of the whole lot in terms of fulfilling their parking obligation?
So what we would do is, for example, a lot of these lots already have reciprocal access agreements with the developers and the tenants. So they have everyone can use the parking together and like it's a community effort. Like the Target, they allow all those tenants to meet that parking, including nothing's reserved. It's all for that whole tenant site there. So we do allow that, and if we need to, we have ways to allow, like, covenants of easements for commercial, where they allow them to not merge the lots, but they can keep them separate, because, developers, they don't like to lose lots, they like to gain the lots, so that it's harder to get them to merge.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, what is the pleasure of this body concerning this item? That's the item 8. I'll entertain a motion. Go
There's
ahead.
no other questions, I'll motion to approve.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve by Suarez. and
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilman Kearney. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the council please vote on the motion? I'm doing it, Madam Clerk. Pushing the
Councilmember
buttons.
Kearney.
Oh, I thought that was me.
Okay. For item number 8, the motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Cuevas absent.
Thank you. Let's have item 9.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Nice to see everyone tonight. So item number 9 is a First Amendment to Contract Services Agreement for Chapala Dance Academy. Just a real quick overview. We did the same thing last year with Chapala Dance Academy, or CDA, with an amendment just about exactly 1 year ago. This is a growing class. This is one of our 7 contractors over there that teach classes. And they're just growing. They can't get any larger than they are right now because they're basically maxing out the space in the second floor dance room, and we can't move them upstairs because, you know, they have special shoes and they need a wooden floor. So this is not going to affect the general fund in any way because all the money is a pass-through fee. As you guys remember, due to AB 5, we changed the structure in which contract instructors were paid. They pay an hourly facility use fee now, as opposed to the former 70-30 split. So Chapala Dance Academy, you folks approved a contract for them for $30,000 back in June, or it might have been early July. The contract is attached. And as you can see in the final attachment, it's just a little spreadsheet which kind of shows you folks how much revenue the city's paying them. Again, this is straight pass-through fees. This goes from the participant through the city to the contractor, and we take our facility use fee off the top. So you can see how they're averaging, $10,000 per class, and we have 4 class sessions, winter, spring, summer, and fall. So right now, after their next payment, they'll exceed $30,000. So we're coming to you folks and asking you folks to approve the attached amendment for $45,000, because looking at the spreadsheet, they won't eclipse $45,000, and the dollar amount we're approving, it doesn't have to be exact. We just can't be below it. So whatever money is paid to them is paid to them, and that kind of wraps things up. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the attached First Amendment to Contract Services Agreement to use city facilities between City of Lawndale and Chapala Dance Academy, LLC, for an amount not to exceed $45,000. And again, the original contract was $30,000, so this is right within the city manager's authority to approve, but we always want you folks to make the last call. Your attachments are the actual initial contract, and then the amendment, and then the revenue projection spreadsheet. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions on this item? Okay, seeing none. Thank you for that report.
I'm
I'll
glad to
entertain
see-
a motion.
Yeah, I'm glad to see they're doing well, so I'll make the motion.
By Suarez.
to approve.
I'll
Okay, the
second
motion's
it.
been made by Suarez and seconded by Hoffman Gorman. Any discussion on this motion? Would the council please vote?
For item number 9, the motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Cuevas absent.
Thank you. Let's hear item number 10 concerning the Lawndale Youth Development Center.
Okay, thank you for your approval of item number 9. This is a really long report. I'm obviously going to try to shrink it down a little bit in just non-technical terms into common sense thoughts and ideas. But we're trying to do 2 things tonight. Number 1, we're going to ask for the approval of the Phase 1 services, which includes architectural design and planning. And I'll go through the RFP details, but we've selected BOA Architecture in Long Beach. We kind of call them BOA for short. And we'll kind of review their qualifications. So that's the primary thing we're doing. The other thing we're doing along the Yellow Brick Road towards that is have a discussion with you folks and kind of tell you folks what we're doing and what are we asking them to do. As you probably read the report, we don't think that we're going to have the money. We're pretty sure we're not going to have the money for the original project that Sean and I have been talking about for well over 2 years, which was 100% brand-new construction. The escalation of costs has just been unbelievable. Before the pandemic, new construction was in the area of $300 to $400 per square foot. Now we're talking 6 to 8. With the money that we have, again, as the report says, we have 9.1 million right now. 1.1 million of that, and that 1.1 million will be growing, but that is for a recreation facility. So the other 4 million that we got from the Assemblywoman's office and Maxine Waters' office, that's restricted funding. Okay, so that has to be used on the building. So we can talk about a bit of that later, but just to kind of review the staff report here is, the end of page 1, we're talking about project financing. The costs of they're just out of this world. And the other thing, the dangerous thing about that is if we're going to construction, let's say, late summer or early fall, 4 to 6 months down the road, where are costs going to go between now and then? So once again, we talked about restricted funding. So we have 1.1 million, which will grow by $180,000 per year. That can be used on the recreation facility. I worked out a deal with the county where they originally said, no, you can't use a penny of recreation money on that building if the other department's going to be there, but I've broke them down, I've negotiated with them, and now we're going to be able to use a percentage of that money. So the 1.1 million we're talking about, it could be used on the ground floor if we go with option 1, which we'll talk about later. It could be used on the floor 1 of that project because it's a recreation element, okay? And the rest of the money can be used on a skate park, a dog park, some of the other options. And again, that money will grow by $180,000, and 2 years we should be just below 1.5 million. So I've talked about before us having 9.5 million for this project, and we will when it comes time to start reimbursing the contractors and things like that. The other thing I wanted to mention, as I did before a few meetings ago, we also completed another grant, FCLW grant, Water, Land, and Conservation Fund grant. It's for a recreation element. We asked for $400,000 with a city match of $400,000, which essentially is not a match because it's going to be used on the project anyway, so it's just free money. That's a competitive grant by National Park Service. And the good news, as I shared with Sean last week, is they're starting to ask questions about our project. So seeing how Lawndale is the terminology's in here, Lawndale's an underserved community in the opinion of the state and the federal, so they always try to get the money to the underserved communities, and we're also a little bit low economically. There's a really good chance we could get this grant. I'm saying a really good chance when the state and the feds start asking questions, they're looking at our application. So that could boost up our funding to close to close to 10 million. And the other thing I put in here is we could use a little bit of ARPA money to make this project even better, but we're not going to ask for any of that tonight. That covers the first couple pages of the staff report. Now, if we want to talk about the things that we're asking BOA Construction to do, we can go to option 1 attachment. You folks might already be there now. And if you folks have a third option that you want to look at, or you want staff to develop a third option, I've spoken to BOA Construction already at length over the past 2 or 3 weeks. They're really open to designing anything we want for this fee. Some of the others might want to charge us more, but they are open to designing whatever we want. If we have a third option, a fourth option. So we want to be in agreement. We don't want to have them start designing something that you folks aren't on board with. That would be a waste of time. So if you look at number 1, we talk about this. This is one idea, talked about with the city manager. He liked the idea as well. This would be a cutoff of the west side of the Municipal Services Department building. And then in that area, we could build an outdoor skate park. We could probably cut off about 3,000 or 4,000 square, 3,000 or 4,000 square feet, clear room for a skate park. And then the other part of this we would go up with a second floor. So we'd have new construction on the second floor for municipal services. And then the bottom floor would be renovated for the Youth Development Center. That's one option that we're kind of suggesting there. And you can see on the north end, any lost space from the west side could be built up to the north, closer to the sidewalk on Deora Lane. So this is one, and then the dog park where the city parking lot is over there. I think it's 7 spaces. It used to be where the city's trailer was. It used to be parking for the city's trailer. That's being envisioned for a dog park of about 3,200 square feet. So we're suggesting that goes there regardless of what design we like. So that's kind of like the only version we have here that's going to have new construction, and I do believe we'll have enough money for that project. A little bit more money would help. If we can move on to option 2. This is renovating the existing building. Okay, this is not expanding the footprint. I mean, we could expand the footprint to the north and we could build out to the sidewalk, but this doesn't suggest any cutouts of the building. It's just staying within the existing footprint. And that building, I believe, is just short of a 12,000 square feet. So it's a good, sizable building, and municipal services would remain where they're at. And the Youth Development Center would be about maybe a third from the building, going all the way towards Buren Avenue. And then also some build out on the north. And since we're not freeing up any extra property there, we couldn't really, we can't really fit a skate park or a dog park into that design because we're not eliminating any part of that building. We know we have enough money for this project, and this would not incorporate going up with a second floor. And just another third one that I didn't put in here because, you know, I always think outside of the box, and sometimes I get OCD on some of this stuff. But a third one I was talking to Sean about is real creative, is if we wanted to terminate Deora Lane, we could put a dog park. We can cut off a little bit of the east half of the cable building right now, and we can put a dog park and a skate park right there together on Buren Avenue. And then we would obviously keep the rest of the building and do some build out to pick up lost square footage on the north side moving out towards Deora Lane. But that's a pretty crazy idea. We can include that if you guys like it, but we kind of thought that maybe closing Deora is something that most people wouldn't like to see happen. So that kind of walks you through some things. And then if you're not clear on the properties we're using, if you look at attachment A, it's right there. So we're looking at the location of the proposed youth development center and then the property for the proposed dog park. These are not the greatest maps. They're Google Earth, but we put it together in a hurry, and if I had more time, I could have done better, but I think they're good enough for this purpose. And that kind of concludes my staff report. And but no, let me review the selection of the consultant. So we set out 18 RFPs in December. We got 8 back, so we almost got a 50% response rate. BOA Construction in Long Beach was the lowest cost from the start, and they even agreed to do the community outreach phase for us as well. You know, some of you folks were around for the design of Hopper Park. You guys were around for the design of the expansion, the renovation of Hogan Park, and you guys are around for Rudolph Park as well. And if you remember the type of community outreach program we had, it was very solid. We had people out drawing on easels, and so the plan for the community outreach phase would be to have probably 3 public meetings, one at the site on a Saturday in April. You know, this has to happen early because we have to get the public feedback into the final designs. And then we would probably have a second one at the community center, more of like a design revision meeting. But we have really solid contractors that are working with BOA Construction as well. DVD Landscape, who is also involved in the community outreach and construction of Hopper and Hogan Park. They weren't involved in Rudolph, so they know this part of the business well. The others, the costs were really high, as you can see. But BOA Construction, CFA Architecture, and Studio 111 in Long Beach, those were the top 3. We had just a really small review committee meeting with myself, Mr. Reyes, and Ms. Reese before she departed the city. So those were our top 3 with really solid proposals, but BOA's cost cannot really be can be beat. And I'm very familiar with them. They basically specialize in recreation projects. If you see their RFP, which is attached as well, you'll see that they specialize in parks and recreation facilities. Some of these other people here on the list, they specialize in shopping malls and city halls and libraries, which aren't bad projects. They're just different. We want somebody that has experience in this to get that done. So some of the details in the cost or in the contract, it'll be $157,000 and not to exceed. And it would include pre-design task kickoff meeting, as-built drawings from the city, project management, confirmed cost and work plans, site observations, measurements, and photos. And so besides that, they're also going to be doing the community outreach phase, like I said, but they'll also be responsible for all the soils reporting. You can do one of two things on soils reports. You can do it before phase 2, or you can do it as part of phase 2. We're going to get it done here and get all the soils reports that we need by the end of the contract. So community outreach, one design charrette meeting, collective vision meeting. They will come up with probably 3 design plans for each options that we send them to develop. So we'll make sure that we keep you guys informed along the way as this thing develops. But those will be some of the deliverers. We want to have final conceptual designs for however many designs that we want to pursue. And you folks may want to narrow down your focus and go with one design, maybe about halfway through. You may get to a point where, hey, we don't want to have anything to do with this design. Let's stick with this one. Then we can kind of narrow the focus and take that and carry that ball across the goal line. Their timeline is going to be about 18 weeks, and they've told me that we think we can cut a couple weeks off there, but you know, the idea is not to finish this quickly; it's to get it done right. So we're projecting an 18-week timeline. We're going to be a couple weeks behind because we wanted this agenda on last week's council meeting agenda, but there were some things that needed to be worked out. That's totally understandable, but we're suspecting that this phase could be completed in late June or early July, at which point, you know, it'll be time to go towards construction. So we're very happy with BOA construction, and I think I'd just maybe leave it open for questions right now before we go to the recommendation.
Okay, thank you for that report. Let's have some discussion. On this
Okay,
item.
I'll start it off.
Yes, sir.
I like option 2, but option 1, you have extended the building to the west by, I don't know how many feet. Can you put that in option 2?
Absolutely, we can.
Okay, I don't want to see a dog park built.
Okay, so option 2,
See, option 2, it's square, it's almost a rectangle.
yes.
If you go to the west, which is what on the option 1, you're taking some of that gardening out.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that in option 2, so you have 2 more extra feet there.
Where the library starts.
Well, actually, is it our property that we leased out to?
It should be ours.
It is.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And that way give it a few more extra feet. I don't want to see the Oro closed, because take away parking for the residents and staff. A dog park is just beyond me. I don't know why we have one across Hawthorne Boulevard, Rudolph Park, is a dog park. And like the lady said, and Randall said, why do you want to have a dog park and your dog could be fighting there? So I'd rather have that. I know there's going to be pushback, but I'd rather have that parking for the people that live in the neighborhood, overnight parking, and on the weekends when it's closed. And the Oro, we have we'd be losing parking on the Oro. So I like option 2 with the extension to the west, but no dog park and no closing to Oro.
And no skate park?
Skate park's already built in there, yeah.
Yeah.
And option 2? It
No,
says
option
for-
2 is for going the skate
Foregoing.
park and the dog park. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
No, there's a skate park in option.
It's,
It says
renovating.
foregoing.
Foregoing, it says, I
foregoing.
think,
Oh,
yeah,
instead of
option-
foregoing,
yeah.
not including,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, using
wouldn't be
existing
included
footprint.
if it
Yeah,
wasn't
because
listed
I
here.
like the skate park idea.
Yeah, we like the skate
Yeah.
park. I guess, I mean,
And I kind
it
of
says
like dark
foregoing.
park
I mean,
idea.
not included, which is.
Mayor,
yeah,
council,
shouldn't be here.
we came up with, being at the city, fortunately, I've been able to see kind of all I understand what Councilmember was mentioning across Hawthorne, but we do have a lot of residents that, and as mentioned, they do walk around. I get to see them out. I see them literally quite a bit of residents that use the city hall for their dog walking. So what we thought is, as an extra amenity, of course, it's up to the council, we thought as an option was the dog park, but.
Now, you still gonna get people walking the dogs around, whether you have a park or not.
Right, that's true.
But-
So I was
that's
just
not
throwing
gonna
that out there,
limit
and then the
walking
skate
the dog
park,
around.
we want the skate park, but because of the limitations on the funding, Mike has set it up so we get some county funding, but the limitation of the square footage, that's what's the challenge.
What for item, if we did item 2, if we added a dog park to item 2?
I mean, if we added a skate park, we'd try to fit it in somewhere. I don't know if it's possible because of the existing footprint.
So the skate park is not included in either one of these?
In item 2, it's not.
It's not,
Option
but
2, right, Mike?
It's included in one,
That's
right?
correct.
It's in-
Option
in
2
one.
is existing footprint. The only additions would be maybe a little build-out to the west, like Pat suggested, and a little build-out to the north towards the sidewalk to get some extra square footage.
Well,
But it's included in
isn't
one,
the
right?
skate park where the little picnic table, barbecue area that's fenced in right there? Is that the skate park was gonna go? On option 1 it is, that's what it says.
Yes,
Okay, why can't you do it on option 2? You still have the,
because we have to eliminate a section of the building to make room.
okay, so if you extend option 2 out towards the garden, how many, will that be a big enough room for a skate park right there? So it'll be facing, what is that?
I don't think so. I think if we removed maybe 2,000 or 3,000 square feet from the west end of the building, we could clear space for maybe a 5,000 square foot skate park.
Well, I'm good with that. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel.
Can you work with that?
Absolutely. And
See
see,
what
the
they
good
come
thing
up
about
with?
the good thing about that is I was explaining restricted versus non-restricted funding, that's not going to take away from the project because it's a recreation facility. So that's a great idea. We thought, Gravilla is a good place. It's across the street from a school. It's got the library there. It's not going to bother as many people as if it was on Buren. So,
Well, let's see what that looks like, see what they can come up with, the
yeah,
design. of it,
absolutely.
I think.
And they're going to be 10 times more creative than me. I always wanted to be an architect, but I didn't go any farther than drafting in high school. But they're going to be 10 times better than what I've done here.
I actually don't mind the idea, kind of like the idea of a dog park. That's just me. And I've actually been bitten by a dog where my lip got like busted in two, but that was a different circuit. That was in a backyard. It can happen, anywhere. But I just think that nowadays, less people are having kids. Their dogs are basically like their kids, their family. And a lot of people that have pets use those pets. It's their exercise. Okay, I may not go out for myself because I get busy, but if I have a dog, I know they need to get out. They'll walk them around. So I actually like that idea. But, it's up to the council, but I think that would be popular with a lot of residents.
So you like option 1 with the skate park and dog park? Okay, that's option 1.
I think you're going to push back from the residents for parking.
Yeah.
Because they use that for parking. And also to mention, you have Rudolph Park, the people that walk around here take their dogs to the dog hospital right across the boulevard. You can walk down another block and turn right, and there's Rudolph Park. I don't think, it's like, one of our entities here have 2 gyms. Well, one gym's being utilized, the other one's sitting vacant. It'd be the same thing here. They're not gonna use a small dog park, and I don't wanna see a Chihuahua and a poodle get into a fight at a dog park.
I mean, we have residents getting in fights with each other. I mean, it's just,
At
it's
least
always a possibility.
we have distance, this would be an enclosed dog park.
I understand.
Okay.
And then the parking situation, unfortunately, with the state pushing more housing,
Yeah.
it's just gonna get a lot worse. I don't think that this one is going to, I just foresee it, and then if the metro line is created, we're within a mile, they're gonna basically eliminate parking requirements with that law that just passed. So, for me, I don't think that's, I'd rather have a dog park, I think.
You'd be taking 7 parking places away, and a lot of this parking is used for visiting most of the services, because there's handicap parking there. I disagree with you, I think a dog park would be asinine, to be honest with you.
It could also become passive park space too, but if we're concerned about the parking, then I see that side too, so.
But anyway,
I see it both ways. I utilize a dog park in Redondo Beach almost every weekend because I have a grand dog that is very social. Not all the dogs are social, but he is, and he prefers to use the dog park, so I have to use it. So I do see value in the dog parks, because like I said, I don't go over here to Rudolph. I happen to go to Redondo Beach to use theirs because it's bigger and he needs more space, so. I do recognize, and all the way through as you were speaking, issues with parking. Parking is a scary thing, I agree. If we're going to have a skate park and such, we're probably going to have parents around here. That means more places that need to be parked, so I am concerned there too. I really think, though, in order to get a better view, maybe we should wait until Ms. Cuevas is back so that we have a full council that is in on such a big decision like this.
Well, I don't think this is like a final,
No.
this is not a final decision
They can-
on any of these.
No, this is, you guys are picking, giving us options, and we can take, we're asking you to select BOA, at least get it started, so we can get some designs to you guys, so you can take a look at it.
Well, but I'm talking about the design itself is nothing final.
No, this
No.
design, we
Okay,
would get.
so we would have time to
Right.
incorporate what she has for feelings as well.
Oh, absolutely, we want to hear from her.
And will there be community outreach before that as well, just so in case there are people that want to give comments?
Absolutely. The community outreach used to happen between about 25% and 50% design. Then 50% design, they have the feedback, and we're going to get some crazy suggestions, like there's some people that wanted to put a pool in the community center. We had to say no. But we have to have that completed by 50%, and then that gets included in the design. And I think to expand on what Sean said, all we're doing tonight is just saying, hey, what options do you want to pursue?
Yeah.
And now that we have interest in both, we'll bring conceptual designs for you guys to see for both, and then eventually you may want to just narrow down and say, this is the one we want. Let's spend all our time on that and narrow the focus, which it could be at the 50% level or 75% level.
Well, and again, it's also the finance part of it. That's the scary part is what about the financing? Like you say, option 2, we know we can do. Do we want to take the risk to do the other option? That's something that has to come into play too, is the finance.
Well, Mayor, Council, that's why, once we get going with BOA, if the council selects BOA as recommended by staff, then we'll have more details as we vet it out and design. Our concern definitely, at least, Mike, every day we talk about the cost. So we had to dust off the previous plans and kind of look at them and get BOA to kind of start looking in that direction so we could save the project, because right now costs are so high, and it's not, we're trying to push this project through at the same time, get it moving, but bring you options that are feasible for the city. So our recommendation is, staff's recommendation to move forward with BOA, and then we'll bring you some designs as we work that. And it says, mentioned there is public outreach, and we will be bringing this back to the council for more consideration.
I would agree with that we could choose BOA and then move forward.
And the other issue I wanted to mention is I tried to shorten it. I didn't want to put you guys to sleep because this could have been an hour presentation. But a deliverable is also going to be cost estimates for each project. So we're probably going to know at 25 to 50% level what each design is going to cost. We're not going to have to wait until the very end to know what this thing's going to cost. So we'll have a good idea along the way how much it's going to cost, and maybe the cost is going to determine which one we go with. Maybe you want the Cadillac and we end up with the Camry or something. I don't know, but ARPA money would help. So I'm going to get off that soapbox. I just wanted to put that in one more time.
Okay, 2 thoughts before I speak on the actual contract, awarding the contract itself. I'm not crazy about the dog park. It's not an absolute no for me, but I'm not crazy about the dog park. You suggested maybe a passive park that will be great for open space, a green space, and anyone can use that, the youth or what have you. As opposed to a dog park is kind of, obviously it's limited, for a dog park. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on the dog park. Also, I guess in the design, I guess maybe that's for another meeting. We'll talk about meeting spaces and presentation spaces, because remember this is a development center, not a
Yep.
recreation center.
Yes.
Even though there's a recreation component. So we don't want to lose the fact that we need opportunities for presentations, for youth development and career development spaces. And maybe that's for a later discussion when we get towards the design.
That's actually going to be included. We're going to need programming rooms, a homework room, a counseling room, those types of different rooms. Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be included in the first design. We haven't forgot about that.
Okay, great. And lastly, you're asking us to award the contract to BOA.
Yeah.
Just one observation. I noticed that there, and I appreciate this, the projected cost of $157,000. The next, I guess, lowest is $218,000. I'm always a little concerned when the project that's awarded is so much lower than the second, third, and fourth. That always concerns me, because usually in the marketplace, you're competitive, maybe, I'm not gonna put a number to it, 5, 10% or whatever, but when you're really competitive, it sometimes just kind of raises some questions. I know in the past, we've had, not just our city, problems with change orders or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
People bid a certain way and they're deemed the lowest responsible bidder. Next thing you know, there's several change orders to where they probably came in second, right, of an original bidder. So that just kind of raised my interest there. What can you tell me about that?
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about that. BOA came in with 157 from the start. Some of these others, they're not real smart business-wise. They say, what's your budget? I say 285. So they give us a quote for 285 or above, and there's no room to wiggle. So when I learned about BOA and their pricing structures, when I had to go pick up the contract on a Friday afternoon because I needed it ASAP, and I went to saw where they work. They're not in this big, plush executive office where you get snacks and drinks when you go in and the fancy music and all that stuff. They're in a little tiny warehouse in Long Beach, not talking downtown. So they're really, really sharp. They cut their costs. They're not saddled with loads of employees. If you see the RFP, it's pretty much a 4-person operation. And Bo is one of the top people that are working in this area right now. They just finished a big project in Palos Verdes, Rancho Palos Verdes. They're working in Lomita right now. And if you look at their RFP, you'll see that they specialize in recreation facilities. And, others are they dabble in it. We really don't want somebody out here that's really good at building shopping malls doing our youth development center, if you kind of know what I mean. But they're legit, and we've checked their references. This is a recommendation from our former Public Works, Ms. Reese. She recommended them, and I talked to them extensively even before we sent out the RFP. So a lot of these were just personally recruited by me. I don't think we're going to see change orders. In fact, we've already discussed that, and I've asked the same questions of them. Why is your cost so low? And that's their philosophy. Smaller staff, no fancy offices. And they're getting lots of work, and they're not undercutting people. They're honest, and they do great work.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. That's all the questions I have on it. Are there any additional?
I do have one. On the overall rating, who rates that? Just you guys?
It was myself, Mr. Reyes, and Leah Reese before she left. So we just reviewed all the RFPs, and then we graded them on a 100-point scale. And we took the top 3.
Okay, yeah.
And we did, they weren't face-to-face interviews, but there were online interviews where we were able to ask questions and get an exchange. And the reason why we kind of held out the community engagement phase is because we wanted to have one more carrot for them to go after. So when these people submit a cost of $285, when they know the budget's $285, they just want every penny we have. But they don't have any room to add community engagement. So that was kind of the carrot that kind of determined where we're going in this. And I totally trust Bo. I've seen dozens of their projects.
That makes sense. Okay. Any additional questions?
Just piggybacking off of yours, I could concede to do a green space, rather than a dog park. I think that's more of the part that I liked about it was just the open space.
Did you write that down?
Instead of a dog park, passive space?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, open space, green space. Passive park.
Passive park, yeah.
You use the word passive
Like
park.
that could be the middle in between, like I'm okay with.
Instead of the dog park?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do a beautiful passive space there. Yeah, yeah. And we got plenty of money for that too, so appreciate that feedback.
Very good. Any other questions on this item?
So we need a
What do
motion
you,
from
what
us
do you need on this one? You
Yes,
need- Let's do
motion.
an official motion on this one.
with both design options?
Approve BOA.
So
Bank
let's
of
do.
America.
Yeah, we're approving the staff recommendation for the contract.
That's right there.
Board.
Are we ready for recommendation? I'll go
Well,
ahead.
we know the recommendation.
Okay, let me just get it on tape here.
Okay.
Staff recommends that the city council, one, approve the attached contract services for Phase 1 architectural design and planning services for the Lawndale Youth Center between the city and BOA Construction at a cost not to exceed $157,000, or provide further direction.
Okay, I think Mr.
I make a motion to go with BOA, staff recommendation.
Okay,
I'll
so,
second it.
okay, so Mr. Pat Kearney made a motion that we go with staff recommendation to award the contract to Bow, and a second by Councilwoman Hoffman Gorman. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, would the council please vote?
For item number 10, the motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Cuevas absent.
Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
feedback.
Thank you for that
Yes.
presentation. Okay, number 11, community development.
Thank you, Mayor.
Permit process.
This project is a report I put together as requested by council to talk about the timelines of building permits and how long it takes to issue a permit. I'd like to start by talking about the survey that staff conducted for the nearby South Bay cities, contract cities, that do similar processing times for permits. So I have a chart here in the staff report where I put in Lawndale, Manhattan Beach, Torrance, Redondo Beach, El Segundo, and Carson. In Manhattan Beach, we did these, they don't have a set process. It's just they submit their permits, and it takes about, in planning, it takes about 8 weeks for review. And then it goes to, it is actually reviewed concurrently with building and safety. And then if they get corrections, then it has to go back again for another 8 weeks. For Torrance, I talked to Torrance. Torrance did say that they don't have a set way of submitting their projects over to the city. So if they wanted to submit to planning review first, before, or building and safety first, they just take in the project, they review it. So in that case, it could become a problem because, for example, we submit to planning so that we make sure that whatever project they want to do is actually allowed on that specific zone. And then we submit to building and safety because we already let the applicant know that they can actually do what they are proposing. Versus here, if they submit to building and safety, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks, they get a project approved, and then it goes to planning, and then planning says, no, you can't do that anymore. So that's pretty much how Torrance reviews their projects. That's what they explained to us when we called over to them. So that's for the city of Torrance. And then Redondo Beach also reviews their projects concurrently with building and safety, and it could take 3 to 6 months for the projects to be reviewed. And of course, if they have an expedited plan check, which is 2 to 3 weeks, and they pay consultants to do the review. And in El Segundo, they don't have a site plan review process, and they review their project concurrently. Planning reviews it concurrently with building and safety. Again, it's 2 to 3 weeks, 15 business days per review, which most of the time there's corrections on the project. It may delay the project additionally. And finally, Carson, they only work with consultants. So that could take a day or a week, but you know, it's very, very costly. So that's why it's pretty speedy. But we don't have consultants in our city, so it's just staff doing the work. We do take approximately 10 business days to review a site plan review. And that, it depends, because if the applicant is in a hurry and they want to pay for expediting, we do have expediting plan check, which will put that as a priority, and we can review it into 1 to 5 business days for the first set of corrections. However, that does not guarantee that they're gonna get approval right away. So it might be corrections, they're just resubmitting, it's just a fast pace. But they do, it's a higher deposit fee and a higher fee for hourly rate. And then we have our ones that gets approved by planning, then it goes to building and safety, and it takes about 10 to 15 business days to get that out of the way. So to get either corrections or approval. If they get corrections, then they have to make the corrections, resubmit. It could take another 10 to 15 business days. We do not have an expedited plan check because we do consult out with the LA County for these reviews. However, we've been trying very hard to make sure that it does not go over 15 business days. So 15 business days could be like a major project. So 10 units, 15 units, 10 business days, probably an ADU. Usually takes less for an ADU since we have 60 days for approval by the state. So we have that requirement, so we make sure that that gets done quickly. So by talking to other cities, they did say that a lot of them are understaffed, and that they were actually amazed that we were pushing these permits out as quick. And then I wanted to also emphasize, these are just for projects that require like structural reviews or code enforcement clearances, not for like for like. So if we want to do a roofing permit, that's going to be the same day. So you go to the city and you pull a roofing permit, we're going to issue the permit within the same day. If it's going to be like a window permit as well. So if it's just like for like, we won't issue permits the same day that they're applied. If it's an emergency, such as a fire, like a fire emergency or like a water damage or anything like that, in order to shorten the time period to issue permits, because we understand that the residents need to go back to the residents as quick as possible, and because of insurances, we go straight to building and safety, and that's 10 business days. In an ideal day, in an ideal project, if the architect submits the plans as they're supposed to be by building and safety, we can get even the permits within a week or two. But most of the time, we get resubmittals, back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. And then I did put in some examples in the staff report to show approximately how much it would take for bigger projects such as an ADU or a tenant improvement, smaller tenant improvement, UPS, Dollar Tree. I did put in the examples as how long it took. For example, we have the Sprouts. That one, it's a bigger project, and we did it as quick as possible. We did approve their project by planning within 10 business days with conditions, and then we work through them. As we talked in the previous presentation, general plan APR, we do incentivize these type of projects, so we work as concurrently as possible with the applicant to make sure that it speeds up and that we can get the project approved. So with that said, like I said, these projects, small, like for like, permits over the counter. If it's something such as paint, flooring, and some cabinets without electrical and plumbing, does not require permits, as long as they stay within, for the paint, as long as they stay within our residential guidelines. They could just come over the counter, show us what they want to do. They don't even need a permit. We'll let them know, yes, this meets our residential guidelines or not. Give us a call. Easy. And for other projects such as ADUs, single-family dwellings, et cetera, it may take a little longer, but again, it has to be reviewed by engineering as well, because we need to make sure that it's structurally compatible and safe for the public. And if staff is available for any questions regarding permits, and the examples that I have here in my staff report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report. Let's see if there's any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I have some questions. So, under planning review, the first bullet point, submittal and input into system. What system are we currently using?
We use CityView at this time. Staff will take in the application and we'll log it in, and then they'll give it to management, which would be me, and then we would look at, give it to a planner for
And
sign.
CityView is only internal system use. So all the other communication that goes out to an applicant is via email or over the phone, right?
Correct.
Okay, it's not a portal or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is, and I think I gave it at the last meeting, that is one thing I would like to look at, is some of the, and I do get compliments for staff, so I do want to say that. I get about the creativity and you know, that they generally like working with our staff. But some pointers that people have given me is, I think it's in terms of their application. I think we're a little paper heavy on some of it. I would like to see us move towards electronic where people can, that's the thing is, if someone's asking what are the guidelines, I would like if that system could be where they could simply look it up and maybe that, and it'll tell them, okay, you know, you can only use these tones of paints and whatnot. The other thing I hear about is resubmittals. I don't know if there's a way to reduce the resubmittals, because that seems to be the frustration with some people, is I don't think they understand the codes, and so they're filling them out, and then they're having to go back, and they're getting frustrated because it's maybe one item. For example, a resident, I think there were some illegal additions. They had to get they had to get a draftsman to basically do the property, but they didn't. It was to the point where they only put the one unit that was affected, and it was a duplex, not realizing they had to do all of it. So I don't know if there's a way to kind of eliminate some of that stuff. Very easy stuff that's minor, but they may not be aware because they're not used to that process. And that's, I think my thought process is thinking that if we had a system that they could also see, okay, sorry, I have a lot of ideas and I'm trying to get them out streamlined. So that might be something that they could see, okay, this is basically what I need to do. Another thing I think they said is, oh, I was asked for the documents again. And I'm thinking that if we had a portal, it would show them, this is what you've submitted, we've confirmed, you know, it's in check. So those are kind of some of the things that I want to keep this conversation going. But I think you had a lot of good information in here. And I understand too, we contract with the county. And so, you know, there's delays on that end, but it sounds like we have our system set up pretty good for what we have currently. And then one other thing was over the counter permits. I've gotten emails in the past of people who I think they've tried to pull permits for maybe like a toilet or something like that, and it seemed to have taken longer than that, but it might have been the weekend thing, so I don't know. Is that something that gets processed in a day if someone needs to swap out a fixture?
Yeah, so, yeah, if somebody comes in and applies for like a toilet permit, like a fixture, we will issue it the same day unless that day we're completely like swamped. Because there's days, today we had a very heavy day with permit applications because the rains are coming, so we're getting a lot of roofing permits.
Yeah.
So it might be something that, oh, you know what, we're gonna have to email you this later or tomorrow, but it won't take longer than like the next business day. That's if we have completely swamped, but that's not very common. Okay. Like we will issue it the same day.
Okay. Okay, so I guess my suggestion is just if we can use ARPA money for a system that would allow for more digital access for residents, I think that would help with your processing time, since all the permits could probably be available on that system as well for prior ones. That's my only suggestion so far.
Mayor, council, we can look at that. We can talk to CityView. We've already talked to them. It is pricey, so we'll be bringing it forward. It's past my signature allowance, so we'll have to bring it forward. We've already talked to CityView about this before. What I think, what we're talking about is online processing, where they're at in their permit process. So if they got corrections, it shows them. Some cities have that system. We share it with 3 other departments, so there'll be a cost for those 3 other departments too when you upgrade. But we're definitely looking into it.
Very good. Any other comments on? Okay, so let's see, what's your recommendation? That the city council receive and file? Okay. Without any objection, we will receive and file this report. Thank you for the report. Very comprehensive, thank you. Let's move on to item number 12, approval for facility needs assessment project. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Ahmad Ansari, Public Works and City Engineering. The item number 12 before you has to do with facilities needs assessment specific to the City Hall as well as the Public Works Department. So as council is aware, the city has 5.4 and some change of ARPA money that provides opportunity for local agencies to enhance infrastructure development. My understanding is that in January of this year, the city embarked $3 million for the City Hall and Public Works improvements. In your staff report, it mentions some of the improvements that we are envisioning for City Hall. That will include painting, both interior and exterior, carpeting, furniture, kitchen remodel, cabinets, some flooring, appliances, carpet textured walls in this room, and conference room, and of course energy efficient lighting and ventilation systems. Sorry. So all of these improvements are kind of in like, we have taken pictures and survey of the existing condition of some of these stuff, and they're old and outdated, and it poses safety as well as aesthetics. In Public Works, exterior is okay as far as painting, but interior painting, carpeting, flooring, furniture, kitchen remodel, restroom and shower room and locker room remodel, because as you know, Public Works facility also serves as EOC, in case of an emergency. So the facility has to support extended stay, and of course, as well as efficient lighting and ventilation systems. As I said, addressing all of these is not just aesthetics and renovating the interior of these facilities, but also safety. The fiscal impact, as I mentioned, $3 million out of the 5.4 and some change ARPA funds is envisioned to be spent on this project. And as you know, ARPA funds must be obligated through contract by December 31st of this year and expended or liquidated by December 31st of 2026. And the recommendation is that the City Council authorize staff to advertise the contract documents, get a contractor on board, for doing this, or vendor, and also do the budget amendment for encumbering the $3 million for this project. That concludes my staff report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you for the report. Any questions on this report?
Oh, I have a couple. Oh, I have.
Okay. Yes, sir.
We need our Lawndale signs in the community center redid. On both sides, Hawthorne Boulevard, you can't read it. This side, you can't read it. And
That Mayor and Council, that's the painted signs that are on the building, right?
yeah, the big
Painted,
not facing
the-
Hawthorne Boulevard.
Right.
Not new signs, but
Yeah, they're
painting.
existing signs that
Yeah.
need to be repainted, so we can add that on there.
Yeah. And then I like to see new council chairs up here for us. I had a
It's
lowrider
included.
earlier.
Raylet just signaled to me it's included in this proposal.
Okay, then also, the bathrooms. I don't see anything wrong with the bathrooms. I mean, they're probably original, but I don't see, they want to buy it.
Well,
They want to buy sinks, urinals, toilets,
Ooh, which
beers,
one? In the,
books on the wall. I really don't see us spending that kind of money for
Water including
any of that. And this carpet on the wall is ridiculous.
Oh, I have the mayor council, I have this is for part of our soundproofing, I
You said
think.
carpet on the wall? Oh, that's.
It's a soundproofing.
Can you see me awful at night vacuuming this with the vacuum?
It's part of our sound attenuation for the chamber.
Okay.
I checked out of that for you.
I had that one. The shower room, I understand now because that's emergency operations center. Otherwise, I'd tell you no in the showers. But,
No in the shower?
no, because nobody uses those showers. Nobody.
They don't?
No.
Okay.
I see clothes hanging in there, supplies, toilet paper, paper towels in there. But we're not gonna spend any more than $3 million. I don't want to come back and say, oh, we
Right.
need another million to do this, because you're not getting no more ARPA money. That's it. ARPA money is for other things. But those are my concerns.
But they smell.
Bathroom remodel.
But they smell pretty good, right? They don't
What?
use the shower, but they smell pretty good, right?
Bathrooms are all great.
All right.
It's a bathroom.
Nobody's using the shower.
It's a bathroom.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good. Why you hating on the showers?
Nobody uses them.
Okay.
Public Works has hoses.
Okay.
Just use a hose, hold yourself down.
Mayor council, just a heads up, Ms. Felton reminded me a few months back when we were looking at the bathrooms, they may not be ADA compliant and they need to update it. We have exposed pipes. And I like the bathrooms because I'm a 70s person and 80s, but they need to be updated. They're not compliant with ADA as well.
They're vintage.
They're vintage, eclectic.
means they're worth more.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Use that word.
those are my,
Okay, that's your recommendation.
Yeah, that was-
Anyone else have any recommendations beyond the showers in the bathroom?
yeah, the bathroom. And the carpet on the wall,
Okay, so you're asking for
3 million.
3 million, okay.
Mayor council, it may not be that high, that's just an estimate from staff. We may be able to, value engineer it, as we would say, working with Public Works, it'll probably be, it'll be less than that, most likely, based on what our needs are.
Okay, very good. Any more discussion on this item? We need any more discussion? Okay, what's the,
I'll make a motion to go with staff recommendation up to $3 million.
okay, so,
But
so,
not $3,001.
No, 3 million, it says right here.
so the motion's been made by our
I'll
attorney
second it.
that we accept the staff recommendations, and seconded by Hoffman Gorman. All right. Any discussion on the motion? All right.
It's there. No, it is,
What,
okay,
was that
thank you.
delay?
It was,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Got
it
a
was
delay
slight
button?
delay, sorry.
Okay.
For item number 12, the motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Cuevas absent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, council.
You're welcome, thank you. Next item, item 13. You doing
Yes.
this one, award of a contract for construction.
Yes, yes. Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Item 13, as you mentioned, will take care of our fiscal year 2022-23 residential street rehabilitation project. This is all good news. There's a whole bunch of streets included in your staff report. I'm sure that each and every one of you are familiar with those streets and what the conditions are. Basically, the city uses our famous pavement management program to prioritize these. Of course, some of those streets have been reported, by the community or yourselves or by visual, by staff. Anyway, it looks like, in 2 occasions, in February as well as July of last year, Mansell from 147th to 145th, Grevilla from 159 to Manhattan Beach, and 159th Street itself from Grevilla Avenue to Hawthorne got a lot of attention. These 3 segments, so we're including those. These 3 streets are good candidates for the CDBG funds. And then, in addition to CDBG funds, we have SB1, you're all familiar with. And then in addition to SB1, we also have Measure M, Prop C, and PLBP, which is Priority Legislative Budget Projects. That's Caltrans administered, as well as general fund. So in your staff report, what we did was, depending on the amount of funds available in these budgets, we grouped these projects and these streets. So we're going to take care of Mansell Avenue, like I said, Grevillea, 159, with CDBG, 147th Street, 163rd, and 166th. And then there's a whole bunch of other streets under SB1, Measure M, Prop C, and General Fund. So the total engineer's estimate was around $2.5 million. On February 28th, we received 5 bids from reputable contractors. Sequel Contracting Company, or Contractors Incorporated, was the lowest responsive bid of 1.9 and some change. There was also a minor discrepancy of $30 in their bid calculation, which we took care of. That wasn't material because they're still low bidder compared to the next bidder. So we're going to be recommending to award the construction contract to Siegel Contractors. In addition to the construction contract, this project is large enough that we would need outside outsourcing for inspection services. The construction management will be done by in-house staff, and as well as myself. So we issued a task order request to on-call civil engineering firms that are on the on-call, and we only received 2 proposals from SA Associates as well as LAE, and SA Associates not only came in lower in the fee proposal to inspect the project, but also they had a better program. And I've worked with SA many times, and they're a very good company. In fact, they were the same company that they did the Redondo Beach last year, if you recall, when I was here. So with all that said, with the construction contract, the construction contingency, 15%, as well as the inspection services, we're looking at $2,395,796.57. And then in the fiscal impact, we are reporting, how much money we have in each of these pots. For your information, it's about $2.4 million. I am envisioning that if the project is approved and once it starts, probably 5 months, 4 or 5 months to get all that work completed. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Have you worked with Sequel?
Yes, I have. They're good contractors, yeah. They're responsible.
I saw nightmares over the paving issue, and the bumps and the humps and the bits that we all went through, so I want to make sure that.
There was another one of these. I'm not going to say the person's name, but I think they listed down here as one of them.
Yeah, they are.
That was responsible for that, okay. Now, when did you say this was going to start? I know you said 6 months to conclude, but when will you start?
Well, if it is approved and awarded tonight, then what we're going to do is we're going to work on the contract. Usually that takes probably 2 to 3 weeks. Get all the paperwork taken care of, bond, everything else. Then we do a pre-construction meeting. So I'm envisioning maybe in May sometime. We would hit the ground. And we'll watch them like a hawk as far as the inspection.
I did have a question. You have a question? Go ahead with yours.
I want to know where the $30 is.
Oh, I know.
Maybe.
Did you add it on top of this? That's why it came out to.
The amount in front of you includes the extra $30. Where it came from was there was the lump sum bid. And then when staff went through and did line item by line item, they realized that the bid was $30 less than if you added up all the line items. And so when that happens, per the bid specs, you have to go with your calculation. So staff was literally going line by line to figure that out.
Okay. And it's not to exceed 2,400,000.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
These companies don't know that our engineer estimated 22,500,000, right?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. That's correct.
Because I know some of the companies we had before
Yeah.
used it all up.
I do remember my question. You mentioned the construction inspection services, since we're contracting out. What was the justification for contracting it out for the inspection services?
We just don't have the in-house capability to do inspection of such large project. You know, there are other projects such as sidewalk program or bus path program, you know, that the existing one inspector plus my engineers, my two engineers can do in-house, and we don't ask for outsourcing, but this is rather large. You know, so in order to make sure that the contractor does it in compliance with the plans and specification, we do need additional resources.
Okay, thank you.
Can you remind me of the, I think it's PCI or the program that they grade your, is that what it?
That's the PMP, right?
PMP, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That.
Pavement management program,
Management
right.
program.
Sir, I think what she means is the PCI, the percentage or the grading of the different.
Oh, you're referring to
A while back we had.
pavement condition index.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Right, right, go ahead.
So I guess just for the public, there was questions in the past about where we're gonna find the funding to keep our score as high as it was. And so this is where we grab some of the funds for anybody that might be listening. Because that did come up where we're gonna find our funding sources.
Yes, that's exactly right. This is an example of a project as an effort that the city worked towards increasing that PCI. Correct.
Which were pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, we had a pretty high rate.
Despite some roads.
Right.
That probably brought it down a little bit, but.
And Mayor,
but
Council,
overall.
just a reminder, we want to also work on our re-asphalting, our slurry seal program. We'll be bringing, so we can preserve our existing roads so they last a lot longer.
Right.
Very good. Okay, what is the pleasure of this body concerning
I'll make a motion to
this
go with staff
item?
recommendation.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made by Kearney to go with staff recommendation. Suarez second the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, with the council please vote.
For item number 13, the
Thank
motion
you, Council.
passes unanimously
you.
with Councilmember Cuevas absent.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Next item, item 14, approval of disposal of one vehicle.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and distinguished members of the City Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. The staff report you have before you is staff seeking approval to put one vehicle from the Municipal Services Department fleet for sale and auction in accordance with city policy. The vehicle in question is vehicle number 493, which is a 2010 Ford Transit that has been used for animal control purposes. The vehicle has been in the fleet for 14 years, and almost all of the miles on the vehicle are from city driving, putting tremendous wear and tear on the vehicle, on the transmission, the engine, and all parts of the vehicle. In the past 5 years, we've spent approximately $6,000 on the vehicle and working on things like the crankshaft sensor, brakes and rotor, replacement transmission, replacement water pump, replacing of front brakes and engine mounts, and several other things. We estimate there's another $3,000 in repair to get the paint done on the vehicle because the roof has a tremendous amount of rust on it, and also we have to replace the backup camera, which isn't working. So we feel it's more cost-effective to sell the vehicle at auction, and the money would be returned to the general fund. And I'm available to answer any questions if you have any.
Any discussion on this item?
So moved.
Okay, so the motion's been made by Mr. Kearney
I'll
that
second
we
it.
approve staff recommendation, the second by Suarez. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, with the council please vote.
For item number 14, the motion passes unanimously with Councilmember Cuevas absent.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the city manager's report.
I'll be quick, Mayor, Council. I just want to remind everyone that we have our daytime security with Southwest Patrol, Monday through Sunday. They're here from 8 to 4:30 daily, and then at night as well. They're here on Tuesday I think it plays 6 o'clock to 2:30 roughly, and then that's on Tuesday morning, from Tuesday night to, and then on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we have effectively almost 7-day-a-week coverage, and they're engaged in doing homeless outreach as well as vendor engagement. So it's been effective so far. I've been meeting with the daytime shift. They come in and visit with staff, and then we send them out to, address some issues that we hear and that we find out, and Mr. Reyes is working with them. So far, so good. So thank the council for the support for the program. It seems to be working out pretty good so far. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Let's hear from Councilwoman Hoffman Gorman.
I'd like to be short, but I'm not tonight. I'm sorry. Did we mention the last time that we were at Coffee with the Cop? Was that since the last council meeting?
Yeah, we mentioned it.
Okay, great. So I have nothing to report on things that I've attended, but I do have some issues that I wanted to bring up and get some questions answered. First off, we have been talking for months about Neighborhood Watch. Are we getting any further on setting up a time? I'm hearing neighbors that are getting kind of excited, and I don't want to lose the enthusiasm.
Correct. At every Coffee with a Cop, we do, and National Night Out, we do put a sign-up sheet. We do encourage attendees to sign up. We did get a couple of signatures. So yes, we're moving forward. I'd like to have a neighborhood watch. I'd like to participate in that, and I can speak in meetings and I've spoken in meetings before in other places I've worked for neighborhood watch. So yes, we are moving forward. Again, it's contingent on getting a group of people that are willing to do it and participate.
Can we start getting an estimate of, are we going to do that in spring, summer, fall? Let's start narrowing the calendar down so that we have an idea that we can start telling people.
I can give you an update by the next council meeting.
That'd be wonderful.
Of how many names we've got and how much interest we have.
Absolutely wonderful. The second thing I have is I'm hearing from neighbors and residents pertaining to, we've had all this rain, now our grass and our plants and everything and our weeds are all growing, and it's causing neighbors to start getting frustrated over their neighbors not taking care of their parkway. So I want to remind residents, it's really important if you live in that house and you have a parkway in front of your house, it's your responsibility to get those weeds, get that grass cut. It's important. It's one of those things that we do for our neighborhood. And on that note, is there any way we could put something out on our social media pertaining to that our homes are, or the houses are, and the businesses, whoever is responsible for those parkways?
Staff can look at putting something out to remind people to have Michael put something together. We can put it out on social media, reminds residents to take care of their parkways.
All right. The next one I have is on Republic Services, reminding residents that they have the opportunity to put out bulky items. I called just last Thursday over some bulky items in front of my house. If you went by tonight, you'd find a couple of beds because I called, and I actually got the very next trash day, which happens to be tomorrow. So I want to encourage residents to continue doing that. And again, is that something that we can make a slide for our social media accounts so that hopefully it helps lessen some of the drop-offs that we're having? And if residents are still having issues with Republic Services, again, I want to encourage them to contact City Hall with help resolving those issues. But going back to bulky items, would that be a possibility?
I think, Mayor, Council, we've put out a notice last year. We can certainly put out another notice this year.
That would be
Remind
really
about
helpful.
bulky items.
Again, beautification committee, that is also another one that I'd like to see continue to get some social media attention on trying to get that community, that beautification committee built up so that it's at a comfortable level. And also, I've had several people ask me, and I know that last Thursday, I believe, the beautification committee met. Do we have dates yet for the cleanup week?
They did meet, the date that they wanted to use is going to conflict with some of the Easter events, so they're going to meet again and pick an alternative date. So right now, we don't have a date.
So it might not be in April, it might be later than April.
Well, we're gonna try to get everyone together again this week so we can meet and put something together. It might just be through emails and just have individual what dates they work. So we won't actually have a meeting, but I know that the date that they had was going to conflict with another city event.
All right. The last thing I have is kind of an interesting one, and part of it has to do because Mike Estes has been around here for so long, and I know that he has been part of the team that built some of the use permits that we have, like on the community center. When we built the community center, we made contracts with that could be signed by individuals wishing to use the space. I learned this week that we don't have that type of an agreement here on this room here as a council chamber. And so knowing that Mike has expertise in some of that stuff that was going on when we started, I'd like to know around City Hall on areas that are borrowed. Can we take a look at those contracts and make sure that they look good, and include also this council chamber as to who would be using it and what a contract would, or like if somebody wanted to borrow it, what it would look like.
Mayor, council, so we don't have any specific policy on the use of the council chambers from other groups. If we want to bring something forward for reconsideration, we can certainly update a policy and bring it forward to the council for consideration.
And also take a look at what we have outstanding and see if we agree with it, or see if we needed to add verbiage or anything to it, as far as the other areas in which they're borrowed. And the last thing I have, I just wanted the council to be aware, one more item that I'm working on. Underpass on the 405, the lights, I'm getting a lot of complaints currently, and they fortunately are not on Lawndale's responsibility, but it is affecting our neighbors. So I'm wanting just to inform all of you that the Lawndale underpasses all look great and are being handled. But the complaint that I am getting mostly is we have residents that utilize the metro station next to Costco. And currently there is no lights and haven't been lights for 6 to 8 months under that underpass there at Marine. I've been working with the council member in Redondo Beach, and I have called and left a message for the mayor of Hawthorne, because it happens to be that that particular underpass is governed by both of them. Ironically, just the other night, I happened to be on El Segundo. El Segundo is completely out too in Hawthorne's area. So our surrounding cities aren't paying as close attention as maybe what Lawndale is, and that's okay, but I'm wanting you to be aware that the underpass at Marine is becoming a problem for our residents, because in order to be safe, they have the choice of either walking all the way up Hindry, out Rosecrans, down Inglewood Avenue, and into the neighborhood because of what exists underneath that underpass at night. It's pretty scary. I even stopped and spoke to the manager at Vaughn's, and he told me for 4 months he was carless in using the metro, and he himself was scared to go underneath the underpass to utilize that station. So just wanted everyone to be aware that's one of the things that I'm working on currently that needs to be addressed with the cities around us. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman.
Okay, I did attend 3 events. My lobby trust and oversight, which I attend every month. We paid out some more money for accidents. I attended my first LA County West Vector Control District Board meeting. Yeah, It's a long title. This is the first one in 4 years they've been in person. They had cheesecake, Robert, they had all kinds of sandwiches, you've been in heaven.
Oh, really?
And then I attended the LA Sheriff's Department Contract Cities Council Academy Session Number 2. We were at the Hall of Justice, and then I took most of the people home to my second home, Twin Towers, homie. We spent time there. I kind of felt bad because we were viewing the incarcerated like they were some kind of different specimens, so I turned my back on them. But I enjoyed that. We got to see where the old morgue was in the Hall of Records. The morgue was actually in the Hall of Records at one time. And the old cells, the old police, criminal cells. I was in one of them. I pointed to the toilet. The toilet looked nice, the sink looked nice too, where that, all of them looked like cells.
They were old and vintage,
Old and
though.
classics. Yeah, up to code. And then I want to remind everybody about Easter, the Easter egg extravaganza coming up on the 30th at 2 different parks. I don't know the time, but I'm sure you can go on our website and find it. And I want to mention the tires turn-in for Public Works. Maybe, young man, you could give us the date? Come to the podium, please. Yeah. But I don't think,
Is these tires you no longer using, or you want to?
no, the ones you took off your neighbor's car, turn them in.
Mayor, council, that the tire turn-in is outside the city. I think it's in the city of Los Angeles, and it's, I don't have it in front of me, but we did send it to the whole council.
Yeah, but it's drop off at our Public Works.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the date.
They came from
I
Graves.
need to double check it,
Yeah.
but it was outside the city, a drop-off outside the city.
Okay, I thought it was.
I
in-
found it. It's, let me pull up the
Maybe I
flyer.
was
I
wrong.
have it on the email. Okay.
Because they gave the
It's
times as.
Saturday, March 23rd, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Public Works Road Yard in Los Angeles. The location is 5530 West 83rd Street, LA, California, 90045.
Do you have a phone number?
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding, I don't have a phone number.
Contact Department of Public Health at 626-430-5540 to obtain the form a week in advance. Rooms will be accepted. Tires from businesses and tractor-sized tires will not be accepted. There you go.
Thank you, Bernadette. And with that, I'll pass it on.
And with that, I have nothing to report. Pass it along.
Okay, I just have, going back to the Easter extravaganza, that is, yeah, I said that?
Yeah.
I've been waiting all year just to say that. March 30th is going to be at 9:30
Yeah.
to 12:30 at Jane Addams Park and William Green Park
Yeah.
simultaneously. The only issue I have, Hoffman Gorman almost touched on this, bulky items, but I want to follow up on document shredding event. When I know some cities have a document shredding event. Usually it's built into their contract, a franchise agreement with the waste haulers. But I think I brought that up before to see if that was included
We've done it in the
in our.
past.
I don't think we've done one in a
I think
long
we did.
time.
I'll check into that, Mayor. It's a good
We can
point.
do
Well,
one.
I'll have Ahmad look into that tomorrow. We'll get back to you with an email.
About 2 or 3 years ago, we had one
We had a
over at
shredding event.
Anderson. And if you showed up they only were there for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yep.
And there was a truck, and you literally put it in, and it blew the shreds
Oh, yeah.
into the truck.
You bring your.
And
big
that
bag,
was, I
you get
believe,
like-
city-sponsored, so you might find something that recent, Sean, when you look.
I'll check it out and get back to you guys tomorrow.
Like usually you can bring, like in the city of Inglewood, when they have theirs, you can bring like up to like 2 bags or what have you. And you just throw it in there and it'll shred it to shreds. Right. So anyway, if we can look into that. Also, you know how the Metro buses, they have this, they wrap the buses with advertising. I just happen to be next to a bus, they advertising whatever new animated film that's coming out. And it dawned on me, what would happen if we do the same for at least our fixed route, on bus? If there would be any Now, well, see, I was thinking Lawndale Beat as well, but Lawndale Beat, the bus itself is probably not owned by us, because we contract.
That's correct, Mayor.
But definitely our fixed route, and maybe Lawndale Beat, I'm not really sure how that would work since it's not owned by us, that particular bus, but our fixed route bus, if it would make sense, or if there was opportunities to get some revenues by just wrapping the bus with the latest, animated film or Disney.
We'll
films
check into
coming
that,
out,
Mayor,
or
and
whatever.
get back to the council.
Yeah, family friendly, of course. Right. So if we can look into that.
Right, yeah, it's like Metro and other cities, Inland Empire, yeah, correct.
Yeah, all of them do it.
Yep.
Long Beach, all of them do it. Okay, and that's all I have. Okay, so we'll close out comment by the mayor and council, and we do have one closed session. And this is a closed session with a conference with a labor negotiator. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give us a provision of the closed session.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, that's a conference with labor negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Thank you very much.
Okay, we shall return. Okay, we have returned from closed session. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give the report of the closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the city council did meet with the city manager and city attorney regarding labor negotiations with the central management team. No reportable action was taken tonight. Any direction that was given will result in an item coming back in open session in the near future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that report. We do have two individuals who want to adjourn this meeting in. Take it away, Councilman Pat Kearney.
Thank you. The first one is a old-timer. I used to call him Mr. Cranky. Richard Dick Miller. He was a volunteer on patrol.
Yeah.
For many years, he did all the activities here, all the events. He was the backup car to Santa's sleigh. He lived in the city for 30 plus years. He was a Marine from 48 to 56. And I want to close tonight's meeting in memory of him. The second one was a friend of mine. I grew up with him, Stephen Curtis Selby. He lived in Lawndale. I moved at least 50 years. We grew up together. We were the original gang called the Lawndalians. We had jackets, we were rumbling. He was one of the original Lawndalians with a group of it. He passed away on March 7th, and he was sorely missed, and I reached out to his daughter. I'm going to send him the certificate to his daughters.
Okay, so we will adjourn in those
Two
gentlemen's memories. Thank you for that, Councilman. The next regularly scheduled meeting of Lawndale City Council will be held on Tuesday, April the 2nd. Yeah, I caught that. In these council chambers, it is now 8:55, and we are adjourned.